Imagine a 7-year-old child who has never been able to stand on his own, legs that simply do not respond. A family that has learned to live with this reality until something impossible happened on a Tuesday in April. A miracle of the Virgin Mary that changed everything forever. This is the story of the Carter family, and what you are about to hear will shake everything you believe is possible. But before we continue, leave a comment telling me where you are watching from and what time it is there right now. I would love to see how far the miracles of the Virgin Mary are reaching. Jennifer Carter holds her son in her arms for the 10th time that morning. Benjamin is 7 years old, but he still needs to be carried everywhere. To the bathroom, to the dining table, to the bed. Every movement depends on his mother's arms. "Mom, why don't my legs work?" Benjamin asks with that innocence that breaks the heart. Jennifer takes a deep breath. How can she explain to a child that he will never run, never play soccer, never simply get up and walk to the refrigerator? "Your legs are special, my love, different from the other children's." Mark Carter comes home from work at 5 in the afternoon, a welder for 15 years, with calloused hands and weariness on his face. But when he sees Benjamin, everything changes. His eyes light up. A smile appears. "How was my Champions Day?" Benjamin talks about the cartoons he watched, about the physical therapist who came to do the exercises. Mark listens to every word as if it were the most important thing in the world. Because to him, it is. Benjamin's cerebral palsy is severe. The doctors were clear from birth. His legs would never function normally. Dr. Williams, the neurologist, repeated this at every appointment for the past 7 years. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter, it's important to maintain realistic expectations. Benjamin may develop more strength in his torso, but walking, that is not going to happen. At least his speech and comprehension have not been affected. He will be able to express himself like any child his age." Jennifer always left those offices in silence. Mark drove home without saying a word. But life goes on. Jennifer left her job to care for Benjamin full-time. It wasn't a sacrifice, it was a choice of love. Mark works extra shifts when necessary. The medical expenses are high, but they never complain. 3 times a week, Mrs. Johnson comes for physical therapy, exercises that seem to lead nowhere, repetitive movements. Benjamin cooperates, but Jennifer sees in his eyes the same silent question. What's the point of this if my legs don't work anyway? The nights are the hardest. When Benjamin is already asleep, Jennifer and Mark sit in the living room. Sometimes they talk about bills, about work, about weekend plans, but there are days when silence speaks louder. Both think the same thing. What if things were different? "Sometimes I dream that I wake up and hear little footsteps running down the hallway," Jennifer confesses on one of those nights. Mark takes her hand. "Me too." They never say this near Benjamin. The child cannot carry the weight of his parents' impossible dreams. Jennifer watches from the window as an elderly lady with gray hair carries small boxes. A widow, judging by the signs. Alone. On Saturday morning, the doorbell rings. Mrs. Anderson stands at the door with a plate covered by a checkered cloth. "I baked too many cookies. I thought maybe you'd like to try some." Jennifer invites her in. Mrs. Anderson sees Benjamin on the couch watching cartoons, and her face lights up in a special way. "And who is this handsome young man?" "Benjamin," says Jennifer, preparing herself for the awkward conversation that always comes. The questions about why he doesn't play outside, why he doesn't go to a regular school, why... But Mrs. Anderson simply sits down next to Benjamin, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Benjamin, do you like stories?" The boy's eyes sparkle. "I do." "Then I'm going to tell you one that no one else knows." And Mrs. Anderson begins to narrate the story of a brave boy who faced a giant dragon. But it wasn't just an ordinary story. She spoke with a passion that captivated Benjamin. Dramatic gestures, different voices for each character. Jennifer watches, fascinated. It's been months since she has seen her son so focused on something. And do you know what the boy discovered? Mrs. Anderson leans toward Benjamin, as if about to share a secret. That he was never alone in that battle. Someone powerful was taking care of him the whole time? Benjamin absorbs every word. When the story ends, he claps his little hands. Tell another one. Mrs. Anderson smiles. Tomorrow, I'll tell 3 more. Mark comes home from work that Thursday and hears voices in the living room. Jennifer, he calls his wife, confused. Mark, this is Mrs. Anderson, our new neighbor. She came to meet Benjamin. The woman stands up, smiling. Nice to meet you, Mr. Carter. I hope I'm not intruding. Look, Mark forces a smile. Of course not. But his eyes say otherwise. When Mrs. Anderson leaves, Mark closes the door with more force than necessary. Jennifer, what was that? She was just being kind, Mark. She baked cookies for us and thought she could come into our house and start telling stories to our son? Jennifer sighs. She's sweet, Mark. Benjamin loved the stories. Benjamin loves anything because he never leaves the house. Mark bursts out. Oh, that doesn't mean we should let any stranger in here. Mark realizes he has gone too far. Jennifer, we need to protect Benjamin. We can't let just anyone. Anyone what, Mark? Show affection to our son? Because besides the 2 of us and the physical therapist, who else does that? The silence between them grows heavy. And so began a routine that would change everything. Mrs. Anderson shows up every day, always with different stories. Always with that special energy that awakens something in Benjamin. Jennifer notices changes in her son. He stays awake longer, smiles more, seems more present, as if something inside him had awakened. Where did you learn these stories? Jennifer asks one day. They are stories about faith, dear, about never giving up when everything seems lost. Faith. Jennifer hasn't heard that word in years. She grew up Catholic, but drifted away from the church after Benjamin was born. It's hard to believe in God when your son will never walk. Mark is even more skeptical. On Friday, Mrs. Anderson shows up again. Jennifer lets her in, but feels the weight of Mark's disapproving gaze when he arrives from work. Good afternoon, Mr. Carter, Mrs. Anderson greets politely. Mark only nods and goes straight to the bedroom to change clothes. Jennifer feels torn between the joy of seeing Benjamin smile and the tension hanging over the house. On Saturday morning, Mark catches Jennifer in the hallway. I need you to tell her to stop coming here every day. Mark, every day, Jennifer. The woman shows up here every single day. This is not normal. Benjamin is happy when she comes. Benjamin doesn't understand anything. He's 7 years old, Jennifer. We can't feed fantasies into his head with these stories of heroes and miracles. What if she really is helping? Mark shakes his head. Helping with what? She's not a doctor. She's not a therapist. She's just a lonely old woman who found a family willing to give her attention. That's cruel, Mark. Cruel is giving our son false hopes. Jennifer feels her heart tighten. What false hopes? She's only telling stories. Stories about people overcoming impossible obstacles, about miracles, about faith. Don't you see where this is going? Jennifer doesn't answer. I work all day, Jennifer. I work hard to provide for our family and pay for Benjamin's treatments. When I come home, I want to find my family, not a stranger indoctrinating my son. But Mrs. Anderson never forces anything. She simply tells her stories and brings a strange kind of peace into the house. Mrs. Johnson, the physical therapist, is the first to notice differences. Benjamin is different during the sessions, more cooperative, more focused. Have you changed something? Jennifer mentions Mrs. Anderson in the stories. Mrs. Johnson smiles. Inner peace helps with everything. If Benjamin is calmer emotionally, the body responds better. 4 months later, Mrs. Anderson makes a special request. I have something that has belonged to my family for generations. An image of the Virgin Mary. I feel that Benjamin would like to have it nearby. Jennifer hesitates. Accepting a religious image seems like a commitment she is not ready to make. "You don't need to pray or anything," Mrs. Anderson clarifies. "It's just a beautiful piece. But I am certain it will bring peace to Benjamin." On Monday, Mrs. Anderson brings the image. Small, delicate, made of fine porcelain, a feminine figure in blue and white, hands joined in prayer, serene expression. "My great-grandmother brought it from Europe. It has watched over our family for more than 100 years. Jennifer places it on the sideboard in the living room. Benjamin sees it immediately, and something extraordinary happens. The boy stops everything he is doing. He becomes completely still, eyes fixed on the image. For 15 minutes, he does not look away even once. Jennifer has never seen her son so focused. Mark, when he arrives home from work, is impressed. "It's as if he recognizes something," he murmurs. That night, for the first time in years, Jennifer feels the urge to pray. Not a prayer asking for impossible miracles, just a silent conversation asking for strength to be the mother Benjamin needs. It becomes a routine. Every afternoon after lunch, Jennifer sits near the image and prays for 15 minutes. Benjamin always joins, his eyes glued to the Virgin Mary. The changes intensify. Benjamin becomes more alert, more responsive. Even his movements seem more coordinated. Mrs. Johnson comments, "I have never seen such a consistent improvement. Benjamin is progressing in a surprising way." Mark, who has always been skeptical about religion, cannot deny what he is seeing. "If these prayers are doing good for both of you, keep going. Our family is happier than ever." But none of them imagined what was about to come. Benjamin begins to act differently, more restless, more attentive, as if he were waiting for something. During the prayers that week, Benjamin becomes even more focused on the image. Sometimes he moves his little hands as if he were trying to pray along with his mother. At Friday's appointment, Dr. Williams records slightly better muscle response this week, small signs of activity in the lower limbs. Mark and Jennifer do not pay much attention. After 7 years of hearing about small progress, they have learned not to create expectations. On Sunday, Mrs. Anderson makes a comment that will remain engraved forever. "Benjamin is preparing for something big. I can feel it," Jennifer laughs. What big thing could possibly happen in his life? One never knows the plans that exist for our children. On Monday night, Benjamin can hardly sleep. He stays awake late, always looking toward the room where the image is. "He's restless today," Mark comments. On Tuesday morning, April 15th, Benjamin wakes up with a different kind of energy, more alert, more present, as if he knew this day would be special. Jennifer cannot imagine that within a few hours her life would change forever. Jennifer sits down for her daily prayers. Benjamin is on the living room floor watching his cartoons. She closes her eyes and begins, "Hail Mary, full of grace." The fragrance of roses suddenly fills the room. She opens her eyes, confused. There are no flowers in the house. Benjamin is no longer watching cartoons. He is looking directly at the image of the Virgin Mary. Jennifer's heart races. Something is different. The air seems heavy. Benjamin places his hands on the floor with movements she has never seen before. "Benjamin?" Her voice comes out hoarse, almost a whisper. The boy does not respond. He is completely focused on the image. Jennifer feels her heart beating so hard it echoes in her ears. The sound drowns out even the television. And then Benjamin does something that should be impossible. He forces his arms, lifts his torso partially. His little legs, which had never supported weight in his life, begin to tremble with the effort. Jennifer's hands start to shake. "My God!" She tries to stand up, but she cannot. Jennifer wants to scream, to call someone, but her voice is trapped in her throat. Only a muffled groan escapes. Benjamin manages to rest his knees on the floor. No, this cannot be happening," she whispers to herself. but Benjamin continues. With slow and trembling movements, he lifts his torso higher. His little legs, so thin and fragile, strain to hold the weight. Jennifer feels a wave of heat rise across her face. Her vision begins to blur. Is she about to faint? And then the unthinkable happens. Benjamin supports himself on one leg, then on the other. For 10 eternal seconds, he stands, alone. His legs sustain the weight of his body for the first time in his life. The tears begin to flow, but she does not even notice. She is in complete shock. Benjamin, trembling with effort, looks at the Virgin Mary and takes his first step. The scream finally bursts from Jennifer's throat, a scream that comes from the depths of her soul. "Mark! Mark!" But Mark is at work. There is no one to hear. Second step. A staggering third step toward the sideboard. Every step is a miracle. Every movement contradicts everything medicine once said was impossible. Benjamin reaches the image of the Virgin Mary. With his little trembling hands, he touches the porcelain delicately. At that moment, his legs give way, and he sits on the floor. But he is smiling. A smile Jennifer will never forget. The fragrance of roses begins to slowly fade away. Jennifer runs to Benjamin and embraces him, crying with emotion. "Benjamin, my love, what did you do? What did you do?" The boy is exhausted from the effort, yet radiant with happiness. He points to the image and babbles sounds of joy. "Did I dream? Did this really happen?" Jennifer pinches herself. It hurts. It is not a dream. With trembling hands, Jennifer grabs the phone and calls Mark. "Mark, come home now. Right now." "What happened? Is Benjamin okay?" "Benjamin," he stood up. He walked. Silence on the other end. "Jennifer, do you hear what you were saying?" "I saw it, Mark. I saw it with my own eyes. Our son walked to the Virgin Mary." "Jennifer, 3 steps, Mark." He took 3 steps on his own. Jennifer hangs up and keeps staring at the phone, still trembling. Will Mark believe? Will anyone believe? Mark leaves everything at work. During the longest 20 minutes of his life, his mind swings between disbelief and a hope he does not dare to admit. When he arrives home, he finds Jennifer on the floor with Benjamin. She tells him everything: the prayers, the fragrance of roses, the impossible steps. "Show Daddy," Jennifer softly asks. Benjamin looks at the image of the Virgin Mary. He places his hands on the floor, and before Mark's incredulous eyes, he once again manages to support himself on his knees and stand for a few seconds. It is not exactly like the first time. Benjamin is tired, but it is enough to prove Mark is not dreaming. His son, who should never have been able to walk, just stood up before him. Mark embraces his family, unable to speak. All his resistance to faith vanishes instantly. The next hours pass like a whirlwind. Jennifer calls Mrs. Johnson, who arrives in 15 minutes. The physiotherapist examines Benjamin and is left speechless. In 20 years of practice, I have never seen anything like this. Benjamin has developed motor control in his legs that simply did not exist yesterday. She tests reflexes, muscle strength, balance, then asks for a demonstration. Benjamin, with great effort, manages to kneel and stand for a few seconds. It is not stable, but it is a miracle. From a scientific standpoint, this is impossible, Mrs. Johnson admits, but I am seeing it with my own eyes. Mark calls Dr. Williams. The neurologist schedules an emergency appointment for the next day, but his voice over the phone already carries skepticism. "Mr. Carter, neurological changes do not happen overnight. There must be some explanation." But when he examines Benjamin the next day, Dr. Williams remains silent for long minutes. He tests reflexes, strength, coordination. Then he watches Benjamin stand again. In 30 years of neurology, I have no explanation for what I am witnessing. Benjamin's condition was well defined. This improvement contradicts everything we know. "What does it mean, doctor?" Mark asks. It means your son has developed motor abilities that should not exist. It is not a complete cure, but it is significant progress. Dr. Williams recommends intensifying physiotherapy to take advantage of this inexplicable window of opportunity. He also suggests new tests to document the changes. I will be honest, the doctor concludes. Scientifically, I cannot explain what happened, but as a father, I can imagine your joy. Mrs. Anderson arrives in the afternoon and weeps when Jennifer tells her everything. I knew something special would happen. From the very first day, I knew Benjamin was different. How did you know? Jennifer asks. Children touched by special grace have a light in their eyes. Benjamin has always had that light. In the following months, Benjamin continues to progress gradually. He manages to stand for slightly longer periods, take a few steps with minimal support, and shows general improvements in body control. Mrs. Johnson completely redesigns the physical therapy program. Now we have possibilities that were once unthinkable. We are going to work on strengthening these new abilities. The sessions become more intense. Benjamin cooperates enthusiastically. Mark, who had always been skeptical about religion, now participates in the family's evening prayers. I saw my son do something that medicine said was impossible. I can no longer deny that there is something beyond our understanding. Jennifer develops a deep devotion to the Virgin Mary. The small image on the sideboard is now surrounded by fresh flowers that she makes sure to replace every day. Our Lady touched my son. How could I not be grateful? The news spreads through the neighborhood. Other families with special children begin to seek out the Carters, not looking for guaranteed miracles, but for hope. Jennifer and Mark welcome everyone with affection, always emphasizing that each situation is unique, while offering the testimony of their own experience. We don't know why it happened to us, Jennifer explains to other mothers. Benjamin becomes a symbol of hope for the entire community. His story strengthens the faith of those who doubted and proves that the impossible can happen. 6 months later, the new reality. Benjamin still has cerebral palsy. He still needs special care. He still uses support equipment for most activities. But now he can stand on his own for 5 minutes. He can take short steps without assistance. He can participate in activities that were once unthinkable. More important than the physical progress is the spiritual transformation of the family. Jennifer has become an example of Marian devotion in the community. Mark has discovered a faith he never imagined he would have. The Virgin Mary didn't just change my son's legs, Jennifer reflects. She changed our entire family. Mrs. Anderson, now 69 years old, considers meeting Benjamin the most special experience of her life. God used me to bring that image to him, but Benjamin taught me about true faith. For the local community, Benjamin has become living proof that the Virgin Mary still performs miracles today. His story has strengthened the faith of hundreds of people and brought comfort to families in difficulty. The miracle of the Virgin Mary was not only about making a child walk, it was about transforming an entire family, an entire community, an entire way of seeing life. For Jennifer and Mark, Benjamin is not just their special son. He is living proof that we must never give up, never lose hope, never underestimate the power of sincere prayer. Our Lady looks especially after children, Jennifer always tells other mothers, and when a mother prays with true faith, miracles can happen. This story proves that miracles are not legends from the past. They are present-day realities for those who have a heart open to divine grace. Benjamin Carter walked, and by walking, he showed the world that faith still moves mountains, that prayers are still heard, that the Virgin Mary still cares for her special children. A miracle that changed a family forever, and continues changing lives around the world, one prayer at a time. Now I would like to invite you to a brief prayer. Most Holy Virgin, Mother who welcomes her children in the silence of difficult nights, Mother who walks with us along the roads of pain and hope, before you we place our lives. You know the hidden tears, the unspoken prayers, the fears we carry in secret. You know every heart that cries out for help and every soul that silently waits for a miracle. Stretch over us your mantle of tenderness. Carry to the heart of your Son Jesus our supplications and needs. May your presence give us peace. May your intercession strengthen us and teach us to trust even when everything seems impossible. O Mary, Mother of Miracles, renew in us the flame of faith. Make hope blossom where there was only desert, and grant us the grace to live each day with the certainty that we are never alone. May peace reign in our families. May consolation arise in our sorrows, and may our hearts dwell in the confidence that God continues to act in history through your loving intercession. Amen. And now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe that the miracles of the Virgin Mary still happen today? Write your answer in the comments, or even share your testimony of faith. Perhaps your comment will console and strengthen someone in need of hope.